without any constraint and insert all the data without constraint. After you insert all the data and check whether unique or non-null or the foreign key later. Okay? So this is also a popular way to create your table. So that's it to create the table. You can create any table you want. However, if you take a look at the reference book or manual book to create the table, it will be at least 10 pages long syntax. There are details of the option in case you need. If you have the specific option to create the table, you can use the reference book to understand the detail. So how can we drop? Drop table and table name. Very straightforward. Everybody can understand. Problem. When you have data inside, you cannot drop the table. Like for example, when you delete the folder or when you remove the directory, if the directory has another file, you cannot drop it's the same idea. So you cannot drop. Or also, if your table has constraint, like for example, dependent has the other table, employee has a foreign key to this one, you cannot drop the table. To address that one, I don't think we have that option here. Cascade. With the cascade option, you can falsely drop the table, which is not recommended. Okay? Sometimes you need to do that.
So instead of keyword drop, we use cascade.
Drop table name, and option cascade. Okay? Then you should be able to drop the table. So this is the way to add the modify. So the reason why we use the alter instead of the modify and update is just changing, but if we add a column, if we add the primary key, if we add something that is the changing of the structure, okay, changing of the model, changing of the data structure, so we are going to use the alter. Anyways, standard group, they decide to use the alter instead of the modify, so we will use the alter table to change any format data structure. So this is another example of creating table with a detailed option. Same, except the foreign key. Foreign key, manager social security number, refer, employee. First, we do not have column name. Any error? Do you remember? Foreign key, usually mostly refer primary key of the table. Primary key, if you omit this part, the column name, automatically primary key of employee table. Okay, so there is no problem. However, on delete set default, on delete set default. So this manager social security number, refer this one. For example, if we have the 111 manager social security number, 111 is here and B, and other information on employee. What if I remove this data, this tuple, from employee table? What about this? Something wrong, right? Because doesn't exist, that doesn't make sense in terms of a foreign key. So at that time, in case, on delete of the reference data, we are going to use the default value for this. So default is the employee 000. This is a fake employee. Okay? So you need to create this data, and also default is set here. So you need default 000. So you need to set the default value for this column, manager social security number. So when you delete this reference data, it will automatically change it to the default value of this one. What if update? If we update the 222, that's also problem. At the time, cascade means follow, okay? Recursively follow, which means it's automatically update to the 222. There are more options to specify the condition of your table, okay? So this is just a simple example. However, even though you joined a huge mega-sized project, database project, they don't use such a detailed constraint when they create the database. Why? Because
they usually don't delete the records.
they delete from time to time. Problem is
Update their
very hard to manage. Okay? Sometimes unusual situation always happen. Okay? Sometimes there are employees who are not assigned to any project. Sometimes there are employees who are going to retire. So there's no the supervisor or something like that. Anything can be happen. But if we have such a detailed constraint option, it will be very hard to manage. So they do not specify the details of it. Instead, how can you manage such a constraint? In your program, in your application level, okay, which is not prepared. Okay? If your database design is perfect, then you can use this one. But always exception. Exceptional case is always a problem. Because of that, usually database architect or database designer, database administrator, most of that such a people are very strict, not very flexible. So always argue and fight each other because I need an exceptional case of this one, but they don't allow such an exception, mostly. Okay, so this is another example of the option. So you can easily understand. The default value is 1. So foreign key here, delete, on delete. In case of the deleted, the D number in the department table, set as the default value 1. On update is a cascadely update. Okay, super SSL, we already said. Set null is also possible. So you can set null data, that makes sense, and update cascade. So these are the example of the SQL to create the database. You can see that this creating something database object is called, do you remember, data definition language. Okay? Data definition language at first, so you should be able to use the data definition language to create. And later you can select the data, you can modify the data. Okay? So this is the data definition language, mostly creating table. Okay? Then next one is the select the query. What is the time? Okay, so next class we will see the mostly how to select the data. Okay, with the relational algebra also. Okay, so your homework